I think that's a tragic story. I think that anything, in this case faith, that can do that to a man like Kurt Wise is a force for evil. And if it can do that to a highly educated scientist like Kurt Wise, just think what it can do to the rest of the population. My contrasting story is of a scientist, an elderly scientist who was a senior figure in my department at Oxford when I was an undergraduate. For years, this old man, when I say old, he's probably about the same age I am now, so I have to be careful. He had taught us, and he had believed, that the Golgi apparatus, which is a piece of submicroscopic, a piece of microscopic apparatus inside most cells, he believed that the Golgi apparatus was an artifact. He thought it didn't exist. And he had written paper after paper after paper on this. He'd lectured to us undergraduates about this. And then one day, an American cell biologist came and gave a public lecture in our department in which he demonstrated beyond all possible doubt that the Golgi apparatus was real. Our old man strode to the front of the lecture hall, shook him by the hand, and said, "My dear fellow, I wish to thank you. I have been wrong these 15 years. And all of us applauded till our hands were red, and none of us will ever have forgotten that incident. That is science at its best. That's the very opposite of faith. That's knowing when you're wrong and even being pleased to be disproved. That's a bit of an ideal, but that's what he did. What finally baffles me is the way our society, all of our society, has limply bought into the idea that faith should somehow be treated with exaggerated respect. As I said before, even secular individuals have come to accept the idea that faith should somehow be immune to criticism, simply because it is faith. Where you would gladly criticize somebody's political views, or their artistic taste, or their football team, or their views on hunting, or gun ownership, or something like that, when it comes to faith, we are all expected to back off and say, no, no, we can't criticize faith. It isn't done. It's not good manners to criticize faith. Well, I think it's about time we started criticizing faith. The truth is that without this convention of good manners which pervades our society, faith couldn't withstand criticism because it has no resources with which to do the withstanding. How can you defend a position when there are, by definition, no arguments in its favor? So my suggestion is that we should henceforth abandon our social convention of automatic respect for religious faith. Finally, just to make the point that this only a theory, you all have seen that in criticisms of evolution. Evolution is only a theory. It's one of the crosses we have to bear, if you'll pardon the expression. Isn't it ironic that this only a theory actually stems from the non-arrogance of science? Because scientists are careful enough and cautious enough to say that everything they know is only a theory, which is just awaiting disproof. Yet that humility comes back and bites us in the form of the criticism. Evolution is only a theory, which implies that it is in doubt. H.L. Mencken said, "We must respect the other fellow's religion, but only in the sense and to the extent that we respect his theory that his wife is beautiful and his children smart." Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.